My name was Elena Brooks, and I discovered what my family truly thought about me from a hospital bed. After a terrible crash, I had broken ribs and a newborn daughter who needed someone that same night. My husband was stuck in another city, and my mother lived only minutes away. But when she was asked for help, her answer was a simple and cold, "I can't come." To her, a night at the casino mattered more than my baby. My sister was enjoying a vacation while my mother stayed behind to watch her cat. I didn't cry or scream. I simply solved the problem. I hired a professional overnight caregiver, and my daughter was finally safe. Sitting beneath the cold hospital lights, I opened my banking app. I thought I had been helping my family, but I had really been financing the biggest lie of my life. For 9 years, I had been sending money every single month. It was always labeled as family support, medical bills, or emergency help. That night, I calculated the full amount for the first time. The number appeared on my screen, and my breathing nearly stopped. Almost $500,000 had disappeared from my life, and not once had anyone thought I deserved the truth. I canceled every recurring payment one by one. 4 clicks were all it took to end a system that had ruled my life for 9 years. Then I noticed a hidden transaction buried in old records. A medical expense label was secretly covering money sent to my sister. That was the moment I understood everything. I wasn't funding medicine or survival. I was funding comfort, luxury, and excuses. By morning, the family group chat exploded with messages. My mother had already told relatives that I had become selfish and heartless. She claimed her life was falling apart because I cut her off, but she forgot to mention where the money had actually come from. Normally, I would explain myself and calm everyone down. But that version of me was exhausted and gone. My husband arrived at the hospital carrying our daughter. For a few precious minutes, the entire world became just the 3 of us. After that, I opened my laptop and built the most personal spreadsheet of my life. Numbers revealed truths people had spent years hiding. The mortgage I believed I was paying had barely been touched. The medical expenses were far smaller than the stories I had been told. Most of the money had gone toward casino withdrawals and my sister's lifestyle. Fake success and hidden addictions were the real beneficiaries. I summarized everything onto a single clean page. The facts were simple, brutal, and impossible to argue with. My mother responded by organizing a family dinner. Her plan was obvious: pressure me in public until I turned the money back on. This time, I didn't refuse the invitation. I decided to show up, but not to surrender. Before the dinner, my grandfather visited me at the hospital. In his hands was an old folder filled with truths nobody wanted exposed. He looked at me quietly and said, "I knew." Those 2 words changed the air in the entire room. He told me my grandmother had investigated the family finances before she died. She had discovered far more than anyone realized. I barely slept that night. I knew Sunday wasn't going to be a normal dinner. It was going to be a reckoning. When we arrived at my parents' house, I carried my cast, my baby bag, and 1 folded sheet of paper. Inside, everyone was gathered together. Fake smiles, coffee cups, and carefully rehearsed concern filled the room. My mother began her performance immediately. She painted herself as the victim and me as the ungrateful daughter. Then she repeated the line she had used my entire life: "Your sister never creates these kinds of problems." Quietly, I reached into the diaper bag and pulled out my paper. I placed it in the center of the table. The room fell silent when I revealed the total amount. Years of hidden money now sat in front of everyone as undeniable facts. I calmly explained the medical costs, the casino withdrawals, and the missing funds. Every line destroyed another carefully protected lie. My sister's face slowly changed color. For the first time in her life, she learned who had truly been funding her comfort. My mother tried to deny everything, but my grandfather placed his old folder beside my paper. Now the documents were ready to speak. Inside that folder were trust papers and legal records. The house, assets, and inheritance had already been protected. My grandmother had planned carefully before she passed away. She had chosen me, the daughter everyone treated like an endless bank account. My mother's confidence collapsed in that room. For the first time, her story no longer controlled the audience. We left quietly that evening. Closure didn't come from yelling or revenge. It came from softly closing the door behind us. Months later, everything changed. The casino stopped receiving easy money. My sister got a real job, and the family drama faded. I learned that being strong doesn't mean carrying everyone forever. Sometimes strength is simply saying enough. Please subscribe and share our channel. We made videos for you. Months passed, and for the first time in years, my bank account stopped bleeding quietly in the background. I began rebuilding a life that no longer depended on saving people who never planned to save themselves. My daughter grew stronger every day, and so did I. Recovery was painful, but healing without family manipulation felt strangely peaceful. My mother called several times during the first few months. Sometimes she used guilt, sometimes anger, and sometimes tears, but none of her old methods worked anymore. My father reached out only when he was alone. Our conversations were short, awkward, and filled with things he wanted to say, but never quite managed to finish. My sister struggled after the money disappeared. For the first time, she had to budget, work deadlines, and face bills that didn't magically vanish. One evening, she sent me a long message, apologizing for what she had ignored for years. It wasn't perfect, but it was the first honest thing she had ever said to me. I didn't rush to forgive anyone overnight. Some wounds closed slowly, especially the ones created by people who were supposed to protect you. My grandfather became a regular part of our home. Every Sunday, he brought stories, stubborn opinions, and reminders that truth matters more than comfort. The trust remained untouched and legally secure. My grandmother's final decision protected the future my mother had nearly destroyed. Slowly, I stopped measuring my worth by how useful I was to everyone else. I started asking a new question. What kind of life did I want for myself? I returned to work months later with scars hidden beneath professional clothes. But internally, I was no longer the same woman who confused sacrifice with love. The relatives who once judged me grew unusually quiet after learning the truth. Facts had done what explanations never could. Some family relationships survived with distance and boundaries. Others ended naturally when money was no longer available to hold them together. My mother never truly apologized for the hospital night. She apologized for consequences, for exposure, and for losing control, but not for the choice itself. That realization hurt more than I expected. Accepting who someone really is can be harder than surviving the moment they disappoint you. But my daughter changed my perspective completely. Looking at her face every morning reminded me that cycles can end with one brave decision. I promised myself she would never grow up believing love had to be earned through exhaustion. She would learn that care, honesty, and respect belong together. Years later, the hospital wristband still sat in a memory box beside old papers and family photos. Not as a symbol of pain, but as proof of the day, everything changed. Losing the role of family rescuer felt terrifying at first. Then, slowly, it began to feel like freedom. In the end, the greatest victory wasn't exposing lies or winning the inheritance.